Let us spend one day as deliberately as nature, and not be thrown off the tracks by every nutshell and mosquito's wing that falls on the rails. Let us rise early, and fast, or break fast, gently and without perturbation. Let the bells ring, the children cry, determined to make a day of it. This is what Henry David Thoreau suggested as a daily plan of action in the second chapter of his philosophical treatise, Walden, or Life in the Woods. I'm not sure if truer words have been spoken since or before. The problem Thoreau saw and faced was the constant anxiety to live a life prescribed by social norms. He had trouble swallowing the idea that a man should spend the majority of his life toiling away for material gains. He was acutely aware that master and slave ultimately share the same fate, a lifetime of living and then death. To me, I try and take this message Thoreau has to heart, living a life of tranquility and ease, but I find it difficult. I certainly identify with his idea of nauseous anxiety at living a life where a man's house, his mortgage is his coffin, but I also have trouble, coming to terms with living a life of, a hermit in the woods. It's hard to do in such a commercialized society like the one we live in today. But Thoreau doesn't suggest you fret at the fragility of life, nor does he recommend completely ignoring our mortality. He simply suggests living life gently instead of thrashing about, trying to make the most of the day fiscally, and letting the stress of it crush you. The doctrine of bringing yourself to a state of tranquility honestly is an idea that I've always tried to prescribe to. Just imagine spending your life peacefully, enjoying every moment of every day until the day you're laid to rest. That was the experiment Thoreau tried in that Concord cabin. Like Thoreau, I value a life spent outside social boundaries, spent gently moving through time, without a bother or a care, without bothering other people, simply living for today, living for tomorrow, living every day just like the last. I ask that you yourself examine the way you spend your days, and ask yourself, am I happier living in the world where I go to work or school in the morning, and then at home, I come home at night and I make myself, a meal? Is there really any meaning to it? A life filled with material pursuits?